of my most anticipated films of the years was Ryan Coogler's Sinners, and it is now released in theaters, so here are my thoughts on the film. Alright, so like I said, this film was on my most anticipated list for the year. I was super excited to see this film. However, my excitement kind of dwindled because the trailers that they kept releasing kept spoiling more things for me in this film, I felt like. And so they would show someone as a vampire that I didn't want to see as a vampire, and that was kind of frustrating. But early reviews came out and the Rotten Tomatoes score was at 100%, and I thought, whoa, this must be really good, considering that 100 people said yes, and that they would recommend this film. And so my excitement all of a sudden went way back up for the film itself. Now, I like Ryan Coogler's work as a director. I think he's very talented. However, his past films like Black Panther 1, Black Panther 2, and Creed, I'm not a die-hard for all of those films. I think he, again, is very talented, and he can always get a satisfying message across. And he's even done very well with the bad cards he was dealt with Black Panther 2, where his main actor passed away before they were starting filming. And that is just crazy to me. And he did a great job pulling that story together and making it heartfelt and in memory of Chadwick Boseman. And I have a lot of respect for this dude. However, his films just never really spoke to me, and I haven't loved, or I don't go back and rewatch very often. But again, I do respect him. And so I was excited to see something original from him that was not an IP or from a franchise. And so I was honestly thoroughly surprised, but also confused when I watched this film. I felt like this film itself was something that I'd have to kind of just sit back and just breathe after a while. It's been about 24 hours since I've seen the film. And so I kind of just had to take it all in and think about the movie itself to see what my actual review for this movie would be. And this one, again, this is the hardest review I've done for the year because there's just so much to process and think about. And that there's a lot of people that walked out just immediately loving it. That wasn't me. So this is my deep thoughts on the film. And so with that, we're gonna get into the good. So the first thing about the good that I wanted to talk about is actually Ryan Coogler himself. He made the story about his uncle and just about the bluegrass industry and how it became to arise. And I think he just built out this world really well. He gave us an example of a family that's been going through hard times and then how music has shaped them. And we'll get more into the music as this review goes on. But there's a lot of undertones in this film about just different ideas. So at one point, we're talking about vampires and all that stuff, but there's also racism, and he deals with that in a really well done way. And he just tightly puts it into a package and gives it to us. And honestly, this is one of his best director films he's ever done, honestly. I think it might be the best for me. This is the one that I would go back and actually probably rewatch even more than the Black Panther films as a die-hard MCU fan. But I really did enjoy the story and the thought-provoking ideas that he put in front of us and that I just got to witness. Moving on is the cast. Obviously, Michael B. Jordan plays two twins. Those twins are named Smoke and Stack. And honestly, they don't have many defining qualities that I could really pick apart. They kind of were interchangeable at some points. But I think both performances were really well done. He made them actually feel like brothers and that there was another person standing there. And how they just interacted and how they cared for each other, I think he pulled that off really, really well. There's other cast members as well, such as Haley Steinfeld. I'm always not a huge fan of her work. I think she does a great job in the Hawkeye series as Kate Bishop. But that character itself is her as a person. So Kate Bishop is Haley Steinfeld. So that doesn't mean much to me. But I feel like she gives a very solid performance, just giving you that sweet personality, but also that dangerous personality. And other things. If you've seen the film, yeah, Another cast member that actually had a lot going for him was actually Delroy Lindo. He was basically the comedic relief, but he also had a heartfelt story behind him as well. And so he was just able to make you care for him so easily. And again, there's more cast members I'll get to in just a second. But the great thing about this film is that Michael B. Jordan is not carrying this film by himself. He has other side cast members that can do an equally, maybe even better job than Michael B. Jordan can holding this film together. And the main standout for me was actually a kid named Miles Caron. And honestly, this is his first film he's ever done. And you could not tell. Like, he was up in the big leagues. He was singing along. Beautiful voice, by the way. And honestly, I think this kid could do an amazing job in Hollywood in the future. And I don't know what else he would be able to do or what he wants to do. Maybe this is his only project he wants to work on. But this kid is going places if he wants to. And he just is able to carry out the character of Preacher Boy and just give it his all. And I can't really just say how much I really enjoyed this kid's role in the film. There's a lot that you'll have to just kind of watch for yourself. And it's hard for me to explain because he just captures everything so perfectly. And he is the heart of the film itself as well. And so great performance by him all around. The next good thing about this movie is actually the music and the soundtrack. The music itself has been stuck in my head all day, and actually while I was writing my notes for this review, the soundtrack came on Spotify, and I actually just started listening to it as I was writing my notes. And so there's a lot of just really good music that was heartfelt, it was creative, it was just bringing back that classic bluegrass vibe, which Ryan Coogler wanted to because it reminded him of his uncle. And this movie itself was more of a story of his uncle and how bluegrass has affected all of the music things that we listen to today, such as hip hop and the pop genre and all of the different types. And I just think that this music just did a very good job pulling the whole film together and connecting it from the beginning to the end. Now, that's kind of hard to explain if you haven't seen the film, but the music is basically the underlying thing around the whole film, like the whole time. So like we begin with music, we end with music, and it's just creatively, it's a well done book ending. And there's a lot to talk about with the music itself. If you guys like to talk about the music or have any other thoughts about the movies, please list them in the comments down below and I'll respond to you. But I think this was very, very well done. Even though this film is about vampires itself, there is a lot of commentary behind literally every single piece of this film. They talk about cultural appropriation, racism, bluegrass history, and how bluegrass has affected other music that we listen to today, and even so much more I probably didn't even realize, but those are like the main three that I saw when I was watching the film itself. And it is so difficult as a person or as a director to pull this off and have it all make sense within the story of even vampires. Like, he did a masterpiece working on this film. Ryan Coogler, man, round of applause to you, man, because just pulling all those ideas and making it all make sense, but also so underlying that some people can't even tell what some of these like ideas are supposed to be. Like, there is so much more going on in this film that we probably even understand, and that if I would love to just pick his mind or watch a documentary over his thought process on making the film and what he thinks this means to him and what all of his like underlying contextual ideas of this film would be. Like, this film has so much going on that this is going to be guaranteed. Like, you need to watch this like 3 or 4 different times to understand maybe in half of the things that he's trying to say in this film. And I think that he did a beautiful job. I would kind of relate this to Mickey 17, but like Sinners pulls it off way, way better than Mickey 17 did. So another great thing about this film is the suspense. Now, there is a lot going for this film, but the whole story is that anyone could go at any time, anyone could die at any time, and so that just makes for a very suspenseful movie no matter what. So you're always looking on to see who is the next person to die, and I think that was a really good point of Ryan Coogler in this film, where he can do horror as well as the big blockbuster movies, which is really cool. So the next really good things is the end credits of this film. There is one mid-credit and one post-credit. I'm not going to get into any spoilers on this. However, this is how the mid-credits or post-credits should be done in films, where it's more of an epilogue to the story instead of teasing something bigger. Like, they are teasing something bigger if they wanted to go that route, but in all honesty, it's more of just an epilogue, and it's like a 5-minute short on what happens after this film is done. And I think that it was just a great book ending, and a lot of people are saying that you need to stay for this part in the movie. I don't know if I'm missing something, but it didn't seem as crucial as everyone's saying it is, but I think I have to listen to a couple of reviews or something, but I thought these were really well done, and that they just add to the story instead of take away or tease at something bigger. So that was another really good thing about the film. But that is it for the good, so let's move on to the mixed section of the film. Alright, so for the mixed section, the couple things that I want to talk about is, at first, the CGI. Now, there's not a huge lot of the CGI going on here. Of course, they have to splice Michael B. Jordan, the two twins together, and just how they like interact with one another. But that isn't like the whole bad part of the film. There's just some scenes where like kids are jumping out windows, and you can clearly tell that it's just a CGI boy falling out the window. Like it's just nothing too crazy. However, again, it's in the mixed section because it didn't really take away from my experience. It's just something like, if you're watching it, you're like, oh, that could have been done better. But it was not. Like, that is the worst CGI I've ever seen, like Madam Web. So there is that mixed part of the film. The other mixed part of the film is actually the vampires. Just because if you're going into this film expecting a huge vampire movie, you get that, but it's in the back half of the film, so you have to wait for like 40 minutes to get to the vampire side of a story. And so for those people that are just like wanting to get into the vampire carnage right away, you'll have to wait. For me, I liked Ryan Coogler building out this world and giving us the story behind the two twin brothers and how they react with other people, and I loved the first 40 minutes of this film. And so there's some people I could see like hating the first 40 minutes and then loving the back half. And I'm one that enjoyed both parts. It just took me a while to get around and like just think about the film itself. And so I ended up really enjoying it. It's just one of those it's a very thought-provoking film. And if you're expecting to see a lot of vampire carnage, it's not there up right away. But that is all for the mixed, and honestly, truthfully, I have really no bad comments about the film. Like, if there's anything, I would say the CGI again, and then maybe the waiting a little bit too long to get the vampire action in there. I would have been fine with it like a couple minutes earlier, but that's like very nitpicky. So real quick, before we get into the final scorecard, I would love for you guys to go hit that subscribe button as well as like the video. I have been gone, but hopefully I will be making more videos more frequently. And so there is that for you all. So hit subscribe and like the video for all of that. All right, getting into the final scorecard, or the scorecards. You guys kind of know how this works by now. I'm going to give you the plot, the dialogue, the action, the suspense, and previous work scores. And so that'll be out of 10. And so first one up is plot. With this film, I gave it a 9 out of 10, specifically because he pulls in so many big ideas and just layers it all between a vampire story. And I just think this was done very, very well. And I think for a lot of people, they will enjoy the vampire side, but if you're looking for a deeper meaning behind everything, you'll find it. And I just think that it's all creatively like sewed together so well, especially with the music. The plot was great. Dialogue, 9 out of 10 again. Like, there's so many underlining meanings behind everything and I think that they just do a great job, especially because they also do the different like time period, and so they all have to have different accents with that too, and they pull all of that off. For action, I gave it an 8 out of 10. This is just because that most people are going to be disappointed how the vampires are only in the back half of the film really, and not really up front and ready to go. There are some gunshots and things like happening in the very beginning, but honestly, all of like the action and everything is at the very end of the film. And so if you're really wanting to have like that, it's not a John Wick film. It is just all in the back half, realistically. For suspense, I give it an 8 out of 10. I was always wondering who is going to die, and that was always great, but I was never like jumping out of my seat, and so that's why it's an 8 out of 10. For previous work though, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first 10 out of 10 on this section, because I think this is better than Black Panther 1, 2, maybe even Creed. And so I'm happy for Ryan Coogler with this film, especially what his whole meaning behind this was supposed to be about his uncle. Great job, Ryan Coogler. I think you've outdone yourself. For the final review section, this is basically what I think people's scores would be for these types of movies. And so the casual fan, I would actually give it a 8.5 out of 10. I think you'll have enough fun with the vampire stuff. However, the beginning might be a little bit boring to you to get into, but I think you'll have fun with it. Family, this is a 0 out of 10. There's a lot of sexual scenes, but also there is a lot of just blood, gore, and scary images. This will not be for a family film. The genre fans, I think you'll have a fun time with the 7 out of 10. However, this basically shows a bunch of different genres together, such as a musical, a thriller, all of that stuff. So it's kind of really hard to tell where you'll fall in between. It just kind of depends on how much you like other genres as well, but I give it a 7 out of 10. For film buffs, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I think everyone was going to really enjoy this film, especially just trying to figure out all the underlining meanings behind everything. And the critics, again, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I think they'll have the exact same fun with this film that I did. All right, so now is the point in the review where I either tell you to stream, skip, or run to go see this film. This is just because you might not want to waste your money on this film, and so I'm going to give you my honest opinions on what I think you should do as these different types of people. For casual fans, I think you should honestly stream this movie. I think if you go to the theaters, you will have fun. However, I feel like this is going to be more of a streaming movie for you. You wouldn't want to pay the $15 to go see this film. For families, I say skip. Again, there's so many sexual scenes in this film that I don't think yet you'll want to take any of your kids to, and there's also horrifying images that you just, again, don't want to mess with. For genre fans, I think you guys should run to the theaters. Again, this is kind of like a mixed bag depending on how well you guys can like take other genres, but like if you're a horror fan and you kind of like thrillers and like a setup to a story, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this, so I actually recommend to go see it. For film buffs, I recommend you go see this one. This is going to be a hot topic for a little while in the films side of things, especially for the year right now. This is like the best film of the year for most people, and so I think you'll have a lot of fun just talking about this film and what it means to you and trying to figure out all the underlying meanings behind everything. And if you're a critic, you probably already are going to go see it, but I recommend you go see it again because this one was a very, very well done. So those are just my quick thoughts on the movie Sinners. Again, if you guys have any like thoughts or anything that you guys want to talk about in the comments below, please list it. I want to hear what you guys have to say about the film. And I honestly had so much fun with just like the music and the underlying ideas and the vampire stuff. I think this film has a lot going for it. And I'm excited to see what Ryan Coogler does next. If it is Black Panther 3, cool. But I want to see another original project from this man because he did a great job. With all that being said, if you guys want to watch more of my videos or hit the subscribe button to kind of help me out there, but there are more videos over here. Click them right now or else.